So let me begin here and about permission to prophesy or give somebody a word. Again, let me be clear, these are my opinions, and I was having lunch a couple of weeks ago with some really great friends who I just love. They're gonna be my friends for the rest of my life, and one of my friends, I won't mention her name, but you know who you are, actually said to me, "Graham, give me a Bible verse that shows me it's wrong to prophesy over somebody without their permission." And I thought about it, and I think it's a great question, because I don't think there's any one verse that says not to do that. I think I answered in a way, there are many subjects that we clearly know God's will about that the Bible doesn't expressly define. Rather, it gives us principles by which to judge things. But I don't think it's always wrong to approach somebody and say, "Hey, God's given me something for you." I think there's times when that can be good. It's something I do sometimes. I think my real answer to this would be to say it depends on the context. It really does. I sometimes say to my friends, go to Walmart and prophesy over everybody you want. It's open season. Why do I say that? Because you're actually out there in the world. If you're going and you're really trying to touch somebody's life, God bless you. I've got nothing against that. Now, if you come to a church I lead, let's say you come on a Sunday, and you want to wander around just giving people prophecies hither and thither, I'm going to have something to say about that. And I would not allow somebody to do that in a church which I lead. Now, why would I not allow somebody to do that? Well, number one, I'm actually setting some guidelines, some principles for everybody in the church. I'm not doing that. And I don't create guidelines around the most mature person. You actually create safety guidelines around the most immature person in one sense. So I don't allow people to do that because of the danger I've seen in it. I don't personally allow... let me put it this way, there are very few people I would allow to come and give me a word without my initiating that, without my permission. So earlier this week, somebody contacted my wife, great person, I really love and respect them, and they're like, "Oh, I've had a dream about Graham," and I actually don't want people doing that. The reason I don't is I've had more words that weren't from God, more words that were incorrect, more words that were foolish or wrong, or even sometimes just somebody's opinion or the pizza they had the night before, all those kind of things, than true ones. And I know it's actually hard to unhear something. So just because somebody's had a dream about something does not mean it's God. And my first premise, when somebody comes to me and says, "Well, I've had a dream about you," I go, "Great, go and pray it out. Like, you do the work of praying." Now, my safety mechanism is to actually check in and say, "Lord, do you want me to hear this word?" And if I feel He does, I will then say yes. So I'm trying to give a quick answer to that. My answer is contextual. I would say know the context in which you're in. As a traveling minister, I'm often in different churches, and I will respect the parameters, the guidelines of that church, even if I don't completely agree with them, because I'm not there to upset everything and sort them out. I'm invited in there. I've got invited authority in that context. So I would say if you're going to, give a word over somebody, find out the rules of the road around them. Now, again, let me say this. What often happens is you'll get people who go like, "Graham, I think I agree with that. I get that." And then people will say to me, "Graham, what I do is I approach them and say, 'Could I have your permission to give this word?'" Now, again, I am not the boss of the world. I don't tell everybody else what to do. But in my own church, I wouldn't even allow somebody to do that. The reason is, again, let me say this. I've been a Christian for many years. I'm not a snowflake. I'm confident in myself, confident in God. When somebody comes to me and says, "Graham, could I have your permission? Can I give you a word? I've got a word from you. Can I give it?" There's an immense amount of social pressure to say yes, even if it's not what you really want. Now, I don't feel that pressure in that way, but I even do feel a pressure that unless I can, I'll be honest, if I'm in my own church, somebody comes and does that to me, for me to even say, "No, don't want your word, go away," the damage sometimes that will do in some tender heart or some younger believer is quite considerable, and I am actually factoring in, to my own process, the damage it's going to do, the hurt that's going to cause when I say no. So what I would do in the churches I lead is literally every week. Maybe I don't do this at Christmas or Easter, but nearly every week we would have a place where those who choose, those who self-elect to receive ministry can come and get ministry. And we also have a team where those who want to minister to others can come and join the team. And that way, every week, supply meets demand. That way, the people getting prophesied over they themselves have initiated that. They've self-selected. They've said, I'd like to get some ministry, and they come, let's say, to the front, receive some ministry. And that way we know the team, we know those who labor amongst us. And as it will happen sometimes. Somebody says something silly or that wasn't completely where it should have been. We then have a context to correct those words or speak into that situation. But what we don't allow is people to wander around the room or drag somebody into the bathroom and give them some word where there's no oversight, there's no leadership involved in that. Now that's my answer to that. I have had many people who come and go, Graham, I don't like the way you do that. And I always give them a hug. I go, awesome, tell me your way. And if there's a better way of doing that solves some of those problems, I'm genuinely interested in that. I don't look at the way I do that as, I think there's some wisdom in that, but I don't think it's some divine prescribed thing. So that answers that question. As a general rule, I would say we should allow, here's the point I'm trying to make with this as well. We should respect the other person more than we respect our ministry. So anytime I'm putting more value on my prophetic ministry, my ability to hear from God, than I am on you as a person with your own free will, with your own choice, whenever I think I'm so important that I'm going to railroad and override your choice, your free will, I think even if our word is right, we're wrong. Yeah. So I would say I think there's some real wisdom in allowing people to self-select for ministry. Now again, it's a massive subject and we can go on. I think what we should all do is we should all have people in our lives who we allow to speak into our lives, who we've trusted, and they've built up a history of credibility and integrity, and that when they say something to us, we will, it's not that we have to obey it, but we really will put some weight upon it and follow it. So I would say to everybody, have those voices in your life, but you choose them based on prayer, based on previous history. Don't simply allow somebody else to come and tell you that they are the prophet over your life. Yeah, boom. Really last thought on this one as well, but God doesn't want us to be led by prophecy. God wants us to be led by a relationship with Him. And I value the prophetic. I think it's a great thing and it's a biblical thing. I think sometimes in the charismatic world, we're doing this not in a way that we see happen in the Gospels or the book of Acts, and we put way too much value on it. If I'm going to take an important decision today, I'm in the process of taking an important decision for one of the churches I lead this year, decision that might involve millions of dollars and an important thing like that. Here's my point. If I'm going to take an important decision, just literally spending time with God, listening to Him over a period of days, weeks and months is about 50% of my decision making. Listening to my wife is probably about 15-20% of my decision. Listening to my team, those I work with, those who walk with, those who know me, those who know God, is a really big part of that as well. Now, somebody giving me a prophecy, that's great if it's confirmation, but that's usually going to be much less than 10% of how I take a decision. Yeah, I like those things, that icing on the cake, but they're not the pillars on which I build my life. And more than anything, God's word should be the pillar upon which we build our life. Boom. So there's some thoughts on that. I'm sure somebody will disagree with me then, but again, the bottom line is if you disagree with me, that's fine, but you've got to live with the consequences of that. I really don't want to go on about this one, but as a pastor, I've seen people go to others and give them words. I once saw somebody go to somebody and tell some teenager that their parents were going to die. Yeah, now that's bad. That's bad. Okay, I've seen things like that happen over the years, and I also want church to be a safe place where we can learn and grow and mature in these things. So that's where I'm coming from with that. Boom.